Okay, Coach, had a couple days to look at the film. Tell us what you thought of the Laurier game and what you're expecting this week against Guelph.
Well, I thought that the Laurier game was fairly well played. Certainly a tremendous defensive performance. I thought, and a very good offensive performance also. It was, very calculated and very well executed. And of course, our special teams continue to find a way to make a fairly dynamic inclusion. So I thought all around it was a very, very good game for our team.
And what do you expect to see this week?
Well, you're moving on to the next round. This is another team that we faced. We were, I guess our last game against this team was a tale of two halves, or almost two halves. We had several explosion plays in the ball game, and then we also had a few go against us. So it was. This will be a game at this time of year. The team that commits errors is going to pay for them, and so that's what we need to do. We need to play a much more error-free football game than we did last time.
Okay. Claude?
After the game on Saturday, Pat, you talked about how you kind of simplified things, especially offensively. And I wondered if that was partly to do with their execution.
I didn't remember saying that we simplified things, okay, but I'm sure you've got it written down somewhere. I thought that basically...
Okay, let me rephrase it then.
Okay.
Is that something that you're in the process of doing at this point?
Not particularly.
No.
I think where we are is, where we are is who we are. I thought that what we did was just on an analysis is we got the ball in the hands of the playmakers. I guess that's a pretty simple game plan if you do that. We were able to do that. I didn't think we forced too many things, all right, in the game. I thought that what we did was probably took some of what would be considered the low-hanging fruit and ended up being quite fruitful, if that can be in one sentence, put in one sentence. I thought that we were just very efficient, okay, and didn't get ourselves at a point where I thought that Bill made, a lot of good decisions. Even sometimes in the stands it appears to, the guy taking a sack is a negative thing, and in certain cases it's actually a good thing. It's the lesser of a number of evils, and I thought that we found ourselves in that situation several times. I thought we got just enough run production to be, to be a force. A couple of really good runs, a couple of great play on short yardage. So we did a lot of things well, all right. What we did not have in the game was a lot of big explosion plays on offense, but certainly a lot of great ball control, timely first downs, accurate throws, efficiency. I think we threw it at about 70% in the ball game. It's pretty good on any day. So those things, but let me make it clear that to achieve that, that's not always simple to do, okay, or simplified to do.
Coach, last week you talked about winning twice in a season against an opposing, well, this is, tell me about...
Repeat performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this obviously, the deeper you get in the tournament, the competition is better every time. So it was certainly a meaningful game the last time we played. I thought that in as much as we had, some big play errors in the ball game, we did certainly play with a lot of passion. There was a lot of stuff got flushed out on both sides. I don't know that there are too many secrets at this point. I think that Guelph is quite differentiated in coverage. They play a lot more 30 front than perhaps we would have anticipated in the ball game. But now that we know that that's what their character is, that's good to know going in. Our guys are ready for it. I don't think there's going to be too many surprises in the ball game. It's just going to come down to old-fashioned desire and execution.
Okay. Did you want that?
I know I'll go with them. I might.
Oh,
it seemed like your field position was pretty important last week. What do you think the importance of special teams would be?
Well, in any football game, field position is important. In the playoffs, it's extremely important because the consequences of the game, number one, and also at this time of year in this country, the weather can be a little bit unpredictable. That said, I'd like to thank Coach Green, Coach Breen, Coach Miklas, and Coach McCarney for the impact they've had on the weather that we've had at practice time. Over the last couple nights, for whatever reason, there's been about a 2 or 3 hour hiatus, and it's been very, very pleasant during practice. So I'm sure there has been some divine intervention, or else at least some prodding from certain sources. So that leads to the game, and you know, if a storm like this clears now, where you get, you get the overhang of cloud and the low pressure system, I guess, then what happens is it lifts. What are we going to get? Are we going to get a windy day? Because if you get a strong windy day, it can really minimize the offense down to about 30 minutes. The kicking game now becomes extremely important, and you know, also the level of execution can be impacted. Which quarterback throws the ball better into the wind, how efficient is either defense at stopping the run when you're playing against the weather, that kind of thing. So there's a number of things that could pop up to have a real impact in the football game at this time of year, unfortunately, or fortunately, or really.
What? Who would head up that coaching staff, Coach?
Better be Frank Tyndall, I guess.
In the Guelph game, you had one very good drive at the start of the game to score.
Yeah.
And at the end, in the fourth quarter, you had 3 kind of nice drives that, because of where they started, didn't result in a score. Are you confident that the team can move the football against Guelph?
Well, I think we've proven that we can move the football. You know, finishing was an issue at the end. Once again, we caught ourselves kind of against the wind and still managed to move the ball. I think the kids are very confident they can move it. The fact of the matter is that we know that this defense will be a little bit more stubborn next time. They'll have a chance to study up a number of the route concepts, try and get somebody in the way, that kind of thing. One of the things about having a gut-wrenching game like that is you get fairly deep into the into the playbook. We came out in hurry up. Most of the things that we do in hurry up have been presented now. So not all of our ideas were exhausted on that day, but you know, certainly who the key playmakers, you know, were, who you're trying to get the ball to in certain situations, etc. So there's been, they've been the same for both sides, because, you know, they were also very much playing to win, and, you know, our defense has been studying up their offense, and vice versa, and also each other. So we can move it, okay? We have to move it efficiently. We have to move it consistently. And we have to certainly be more efficient and error-free in the score zone. I think we got into the score zone probably 6 or 7 times, and we're not as efficient there as we have been in other games.
Coach, let's go for the soundbite. Tell me about keys. You mentioned whoever turns over the ball least.
This team is a very, very good group of ball hawks. I think over the past few weeks they've made you know, an inordinate number of interceptions. I mean, they didn't play last week, but in prior games, I think in the last 4 or 5 games, I think they caught Western with some you know, turnover problems. They basically snatched Laurier's season away with a number of timely interceptions in a very, very close ball game. I think the one game that they sort of flirted with the Undertaker was their game against the University of Toronto, where they committed a number of errors. I think 5 or 6, several fumbles, a couple of picks, that kind of thing. But in the end, you know, it was a couple of interceptions against Toronto that saved their bacon too. So that their secondary, they play sort of a, you know, I don't want to say it's a soft zone. I'd say it's a very efficient zone. Okay, and they get their guys in position to see the ball thrown well, and they jump it fairly well. So they are fairly efficient, and as our guys know, the receivers and the quarterback know, that an errant pass, one that's just a little bit off behind, an overthrow, late, those balls are going to get picked off. You have to assume that's going to happen. These guys, rarely do they have like a clear shot at an interception where they, you know, mishandle the ball, don't catch it. So that puts that much more pressure on the receivers. If there is a ball that is sailing or it's taken off, the receiver may have to become the DB at that point to prevent an interception. The quarterback, certainly, he understands his role in the ball game. He's to be as accurate and as efficient as he possibly can. The O-line, we got to keep the rush. We had some pressure issues last time we played them. And I think that the guys are committed to being able to give the quarterback just enough time to be able to do his job. So hopefully we're going to be better in all three areas. I might as well say this, nobody's asked the question, but it was also our season high in penalties. We had, the situation was reversed down there. Typically, Guelph was probably, plus 10 in penalties per game. We were in the neighborhood of 4 to 5 penalties a game, which is quite efficient. In that game down there, we had 14 penalties called on us. Some of them were easy to call. That's all I'll say on that.
But obviously your discipline's gotten better as you've...
Well, it's discipline. That's the only time that it was ever called into question. In every other game, I think we've been sort of somewhere in the 4 to 6 penalties per game, a couple of offsides, maybe a no yard, that kind of thing. So in that particular game, we had some issues. We had a couple of no yards penalties. We had several offside penalties. The defense was caught encroaching. The offense lined up twice offside. Once, at a critical point in the ball game where sort of a comeback was definitely arguably within reach, and we lined up offside. So it was there's no excuse for offense ever lining up offside. But what happened in the fervor of the moment, the receiver checked with the official. He notified him that he was on the line. He didn't hear any answer back. Typically, the official will let you know if you need to move back 6 inches or whatever. But the noise of the crowd had taken over at that point, and there was communication was down. They called it. But let me just say that the consequences of the final encroachment penalty for the offense were devastating based on the relative position of the receiver to the ball. I realize the official doesn't have the benefit of the replay camera and all the rest of it, but with the game and the consequences of the season on the line, the offside that was called, I would say, was a matter of micromillimeters, if that isn't even the term. So it was close. So let's just be onside.
You said last week that you're hoping to get all the guys in the DL back for this week. Is that still the expectation?
Yeah, that's my expectation. I don't know if we'll actually achieve that. It's probably all I'll say about injuries at this point. But I don't blame you for asking. That's Gael talk, I guess.
Anything else?
That was my last one.
Can't blame you for doing your job.
Mike, anything?
Playing in their place? Again, you've been there, done that, so...
I think there's going to be a tremendous atmosphere there. Rumors are anywhere from 5,000 to 9,000 will be there. They have a nice big grandstand that seats close to 6,000 there, and then they have a very interesting overflow area behind the visitors' team bench, which they refer affectionately there as the hill. And I think they're going to let a number of people in there to sit on the hill. So there could be probably another couple of thousand over there sitting watching the game. I really hope it is because I think this is a big moment for Guelph. I think it's the first time it's not the first time they've hosted a major playoff game. I believe they hosted one a couple of years ago also. But it is a big moment. Coach Lang has done a terrific job with the football program there, and he's got it into a position where they're competing to go to the Yates Cup with the rest of us. So I think it should be a great atmosphere. To go into a hostile environment and have to dig out a win, that's a very exciting challenge for the team. So we're up for it.
You can tell that?
Oh, yeah.
How so?
Oh, I think our guys are very up for this one.
Why don't you tell? Did you want?
Yep. And are we wanted to
Yeah. Tell us who you brought here with you.
Well, we got two terrific veterans here. Derek Morris, was called upon to do a few things over the past couple of weeks to sort of keep the offensive line unit together. He even changed positions. The one he's been playing for the last 2 years, moved out to tackle where he kind of started his career. But more importantly, Derek, we had some young faces in the lineup in some of the games, and You know, he was sort of like the old man, the stabilizing force there. Probably had to do a little coaching, instructing on the field, etc. He's done a terrific job. Derek is one of three actually local starters that we have, you know, on the offensive line with Mike Sullivan and Josh Prinzen. You know, he's playing some of his best football of his career right now, and we're looking forward to have him have a big one in Guelph. You know, it was not the best day for the offensive line the last time we went to Guelph. We're all painfully aware of that. Okay, and I think that Derek and the guys they have great resolve to you know, improve that situation. Chris Patrician has you know, emerged, you know, as an extremely exciting football player. He's a graduate of St. Michael's College in Toronto. He sort of came in with that St. Michael's bus here 4 years ago. Started off missing his freshman year because he was injured. He had shoulder issues. The one thing Chris has always been, he's been very fast, and he's certainly one of our fastest players right now. You're starting to see him emerge as a top-of-the-line punt and kickoff returner. He's extremely unselfish in the passing game, and although he doesn't perhaps have some of the statistics that some of the other guys have, he does a very important job there, and little by little he's sort of created his own niche on the offense. So, you know, we're looking forward for big things from him, both as a returner and as a contributor to the offense this weekend as well.
Thanks, Coach.